Hello students, today we will have a discussion about purification of water on a small scale. Small scale means at the household level. So there are various techniques and methods used in the purification of water at household level. The techniques are boiling, chemical disinfection, filtration, UV irradiation, and multi-stage reverse osmosis. So coming to the boiling method, this is the most commonly used and the simplest of all the methods. So first of all, we should bring the water to a boiling point that is called as a rolling boil. A rolling boil means we should be able to see bubbles on the surface of the water, and this should be continued for about 10 to 20 minutes. So this method kills bacteria, spores, cysts and ova of all the microorganisms. It removes hardness of water temporarily. But however, the taste can be altered. As a result, it may not be potable when compared to water in room temperature. But however, there is no residual protection against further contamination. So that means boiled water should be used immediately before it is further contaminated. And it should be stored in the same container in which it was boiled. So usually we commit a mistake of transferring the boiled water into other bottles or containers, which is not advisable. The next step is chemical disinfection. We can use bleaching powder for chemical disinfection. That is chlorinated lime, if it is freshly made, will provide 33% of available chlorine. But however, bleaching powder is unstable on exposure to air, light, moisture, and as a result it loses its chlorine content. It has to be stored in a dark, cool and dry place in a closed container to make it more stable. Next is the chlorine solution, which is prepared from bleaching powder. So 4 kg of bleaching powder gives 25% of available chlorine, which when mixed with 20 liter of water gives 5% solution of chlorine. Next is the high test hypochlorite or the perchloron method. It is more stable than bleaching powder and deteriorates lesser than bleaching powder on storage. So as a result, high test hypochlorite is a better option. Then we use chlorine tablets. It is good and easy to use but slightly expensive. A single tablet of 500 milligram is sufficient to disinfect 20 liters of water. But however, this method is user friendly as we do not require any measurements for disinfection. Next is use of iodine. It is considered as an emergency method for disinfection of water. So 2 drops of 2% ethanol solution of iodine is sufficient for purifying 1 liter of water. The contact time needed is 20 to 30 minutes. But however, it is expensive and it is also physiologically active, which leads to hypothyroidism. As a result, this is one of the disadvantages. Then we can use potassium permanganate, which is no longer used because it changes the color, smell and taste of water. Next is the filtration method. We use ceramic filters for this. For example, Pasteur Chamberlain filter, Bergfeld filter, Catadine filter. These are some of the examples of ceramic filters. In this method, the main part of filtration is the candle, which is made of the materials like porcelain, kieselguhr, or infusorial earth. In catadiene filtration, the surface is covered with silver catalyst. Here, the bacteria is destroyed when it comes to contact with silver ions. This method can remove bacteria but not viruses. Then is ultraviolet irradiation. This method can destroy bacteria, viruses, yeast, fungi, algae, and all the protozoa. So this is the most commonly used method these days at household level. Some brands like AquaGuard use this method. So it uses a mercury vapor arc lamps that emit UV rays at a wavelength of 254 nanometers. Water should be free from turbidity or colloidal suspended constituents. So this is the basic requirement. There should not be any turbidity in the water, or there should not be any suspended particles in the water before we subject it to ultraviolet radiation. For this method, a short exposure is required and no foreign matter is added, and hence there is no change in the taste or odor of the water. So as a result, it is more easily potable and consumer friendly. But there is no residual effect. That means further contamination of water will not be ensured. Last method is the multi-stage reverse osmosis purification of water. This method removes all the total dissolved solids. It removes hardness. It removes all the heavy metals, bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and all the cysts as well. It uses a clarity cartridge that removes all the suspended particles like dust, mud, or sand. So this reverse osmosis cartridge removes dissolved solids, hardness, heavy metals, and also microorganisms. So this is how typically a reverse osmosis equipment looks like. The first chamber has the raw water tank, which is pumped into three filters like sand filter, carbon filter, and water softeners, which is then pumped into a high pressure pump before it is sent to the RO chamber or the reverse osmosis chamber. And then for further purification, it is then sent to an ozone generator, which then leads to a container that collects pure water, which can be meant for consumer use later.